Today, I'm going to talk about a very common, very common and understandable and normal situation that I hear about a lot. And that is when there is a couple and they love each other very much and they have a good marriage and things are generally good, between the two of them. But the woman is complaining that she has like zero sexual desire. And so in this situation, she is saying that she has children, she's very busy, she's very overworked, she has a lot of caretaking responsibilities, and she is just really tired at the end of the day. And so she, falls into bed finally at the end of the night. And, this is after a long day of like maybe being with her, being with a baby and, taking care of children and doing housework and doing, other types of work. And she's just extremely tired and, and touched out. So here's this woman who loves her husband and they have a good relationship, but she's just feeling so touched out, so exhausted at the end of the night. And she falls into bed and she's hoping that her husband doesn't initiate sex because she is just really tired and has absolutely zero interest in it. Well, hi, if we haven't met, I'm Rivka Sidorsky. I'm an ASEX certified sex therapy supervisor, and I would be happy to talk to you a little bit more today about what I would recommend for a couple like this. So, how I would describe where this woman is on that night, let's just call it Thursday night. Let's just call it a Thursday night. Where I would describe where she is like a -7 to a -5. So I look at a scale between -10 to +10. A -10 would be very stressed, very exhausted, maybe sick, maybe she has a migraine, maybe she's angry, like a very negative mood. Okay? A 0 is neutral. She is not horribly exhausted, but she's just kind of going about her neutral day-to-day life and a normal level of tired and just kind of neutral. And positive numbers refer to the scale of arousal. So maybe a 3 is she's feeling maybe kind of flirtatious or pleasant, kind of flirty feelings or romantic feelings toward her husband. And when she gets higher and higher, maybe a 7, 8, she might experience like sexual drive or sexual desire or like maybe some like real arousal and craving to have sex. And maybe a 10 would be like a very high level of sexual arousal. Okay, so on that scale, I would say that for that woman, we're talking about, let's call it Thursday night, let's call that a -7 or a -5. So what's happening is that she's really exhausted. It's getting late at night. If she were to have sex with her husband, that would really cut into her sleep time. Not to mention that she has not had any connection necessarily with her husband that day. So these are some factors that are just making her feel like all I want to do is to get into bed and go to sleep, and I'm hoping my husband doesn't initiate tonight. Now, what does she do? What should she do if her husband actually does initiate that night? So if you're telling me that that's you and you you really don't want to have sex, you really honestly do not, and you're looking at that and you're just thinking, oh man, that is pretty rough, I would understand that if you're looking at that situation, we're looking at a real uphill climb because you're in a hole. Not only do you have to get yourself out of that hole and to ground level, and you have to get yourself to a zero, but then after you're on the ground level, you have to start climbing this ladder and get yourself up the ladder of arousal. And when you're looking from inside that hole, it feels like, oh my gosh, not only do I have to get all the way to ground level, but I have to climb that ladder after I get to ground level. That's overwhelming. I really don't think I can do that tonight. So maybe for that woman, a good idea would be to say, you know what? I'm so exhausted. I'm so touched out. I had such a long day, a long day at work, I had a long day with the kids, and I really just don't think that this is going to be I can give us what we deserve and the attention we deserve on this tonight. But I think on Saturday, I think I could take a little nap. And if you could let me take a nap and you could take the kids, maybe you could take them out to the park. And if I could get a couple of hours to myself on Saturday afternoon and I could get a nap and a little alone time, and maybe if you helped clean up the house a little bit, and maybe if you helped take the baby off my hands, and maybe if I got like that nap on Saturday afternoon, I'm really hoping that we can make some time to be together, and I think that would be really, really nice on Saturday night. Okay, so now you're not just flat out rejecting your husband. You are saying, this is why right now, this is going to be a huge uphill climb for me, but I'm looking at the future and I can imagine a future where I'm standing on the ground level. I'm just standing on the ground. I'm not inside a hole. But I think I could imagine that on Saturday, if I got that nap and I got a little help with the kids and the house wasn't super, super messy, I think I could see a situation where I could climb that ladder. And you know what? When we are together, it's very nice. And I love you and we have a good relationship. And I like you, I love you. And when we are together, it feels nice. So what you're doing there is you're saying why right now, this is not the situation that is going to be successful, but you can imagine what is the situation? What is the future situation that even is hopeful? And you're playing out and laying out a imaginary, not fictitious, but you're imagining a future that where you could imagine standing on the ground level, and you could imagine that at that point, I think it would be really nice to be together. And at that point, so what's happening is you are articulating for your husband why that time in the future is going to be different than now. Because if you just say like, oh, I'm too tired, maybe tomorrow, then he's probably thinking to himself, why would tomorrow be any different than today? You're always tired. You're always exhausted. You always have the kids clawing all over you. Why would tomorrow be any different? But if you're able to express, like, here are some things why tomorrow is different than today, and what we can do to get me on ground level and make it so tomorrow is more likely to be successful than today. So that is a much better way to reject, postpone, however you want to put it, communicate to your husband that moment of why that Thursday night is not going to work. But you can imagine these are the things that could make Saturday night work for you guys. Now, let's say Saturday night comes. No, let's say Saturday comes. And let's say it's a really, really hard day. And let's say you start to get a headache when your kids have been a disaster all day, and you're thinking, oh no, I said that tonight we could maybe try to be together, but this has been a disaster of a day and I have such a headache, and I can already tell this is not going to work. So let's say that's happening on Saturday. what women tend to do then is that they tend to try to avoid the Saturday night by maybe going on their phones or hoping that their husbands will forget or arranging the situation so that they are conveniently not at the same place at the same time, or maybe they are on the phone when their husbands are going to bed, or maybe they do an extra long bedtime with their kids to avoid the situation. So what happens is a woman like this will tend to just avoid that Saturday night situation and hope that maybe he forgot and maybe I can just slide my way out of this. But the thing is, he probably didn't forget, and he probably did remember, and he probably does have it in his mind. And the thing is, he just tried to initiate sex on Thursday night, and you did push it off. And so he's really hoping that he doesn't really have to bang you upside the head with a sexual initiation on Saturday night. He's hoping really that you are going to remember and you are going to actually, show up in magically, and you're going to be like, "Oh, I remembered that it's Saturday night and I was looking forward to this, and I put on this lingerie ahead of time." He would love probably nothing more than that. He probably didn't forget, and he's really, really hoping that he doesn't have to offer another initiation for that Saturday night. But what is he gonna feel when you just are avoiding and you don't say anything and you don't initiate, and then you do a super long bedtime and then you get on your phone, and then it's hard then for him to then bring up the courage to initiate on that night, on Saturday night. But let's say he does. And now let's say that you're like, oh, thinking to yourself, I really wish he had forgotten. But now that he's initiated again, now what am I going to do now? Because I got myself in this pickle. Because I was the one who said maybe Saturday night, and then now I set this expectation and he circled it in his calendar and he got so excited and he built this expectation and he was so hopeful, and now I have to reject him again. And this is what makes people not want to do that initial Thursday night rescheduling, because now they got themselves into an even worse situation now for the Saturday night situation. So in order to prevent that whole thing, what I would recommend is just to preempt that by going to him at 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock and saying, I didn't forget about tonight. I remember that on Thursday night, we talked about that tonight maybe we could try to be together and we could try to hang out, we could try to spend some time together, whatever code word you want to use, however you want to put it. I didn't forget about that, and I was really hoping that tonight was going to work. But it's been a really, really hard day, and I have a terrible headache. The kids have been awful. I really don't think it's going to be successful tonight for me. Can we try for tomorrow? That's going to feel so much better than avoiding, and then shooting him down once he got the courage to initiate yet again on Saturday night. Saying, I didn't forget, and I still do want to be with you, and here's the situation that came up. Now, let's say Saturday comes and you did get your nap, and he did take the kids to the park, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do all these things, and then I get to have sex, and I'm gonna take the kids to the park, and I'm gonna clean up after lunch, and I'm gonna make sure that the toys aren't on the floor, and she's gonna take her nap, and we're gonna be good to go on Saturday. Now, let's say Saturday you're on ground level, and you're like, okay, everything's fine. But now, let's say he jumps into bed and he's so excited, and I cleaned the house and I took care of the kids and I did all those things that you kind of asked for, but now he starts touching you. And it's a romantic touch. This is very common. Men are gonna very typically jump in and start touching, hugging, kissing, and he's ready to go. He's been looking forward to this since Thursday. He's been looking forward to this since before Thursday. So let's say now this is what he jumps into bed and he's ready to go. and you're just at a 0. So now you come to me and you say, Rivka, now what do I do? I have no sexual desire. What am I supposed to do now? And that's when I say, hey, it sounds like in that moment, we just have to slow things down and help them understand, hey, I still think this would be nice, and this could still be successful, and this could still be a good experience for both of us. But in order for this to be successful, I think what I need is to take things slowly, and like maybe we just hang out first. Maybe we need to just talk first. Maybe I just need a little bit of time now just to connect with you, because what's happened is he skipped over the connection and he went straight to the romantic or sexual connection. And that's kind of like a second or third gear. So what I think about is like you're at a 0 and he's at a 4. So he's revved up into a romantic phase. Romantic phase is like 3 to a 6. So he's already in a romantic phase. And let's say 7 to 10 is a sexual phase. The problem is you're at a 0. And all you need to do is you just need to be in like a connecting phase. And you just need to first connect. He skipped over the connection and now he's already in a romantic connection phase. So all we need to do is we need to know this is completely normal. This is completely typical. This is so absolutely understandable, and there's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with your sex life, and there's nothing wrong with the situation. We just have to get you guys both on the same page and for him to understand, okay, you're at a 0, he's at a 4. And like, what is it going to take to climb that ladder? And being able to communicate like, okay, like, let's take things slowly. Could we maybe like, I haven't talked to you all day. Maybe we just talk a little bit first. You know, most men in this situation, we're talking about this story. I'm not talking about all couples. I'm not talking about all the different types of problems people have. I'm talking about this story. And in this story, this husband, he wants to please his wife. He wants to connect with her. He wants to make her feel good. And what she needs to do in that moment is to communicate, I want that too. And here are some ideas on how I could get there. So I think if we just like hung out first, we just talked first, maybe we just cuddled first, maybe you rub my back, maybe we just talk about our days a little bit, that might help me get to a 1, might help me get to a 2. Let's just connect first a little bit, and then we can work our way into that romantic connection. And once we're in that romantic connection, then maybe we can work our way into a sexual connection. So I hope that was a nice little illustration of a very, very common situation. And let me know if this was helpful. And please feel free to shoot me another situation, which is there's so many common stories out there and common dilemmas out there. And this was just one illustration of a story. And I know this isn't going to solve all of your problems. But I'm hoping that, you know, in this very specific situation, I'm hoping that those are some helpful strategies. And also, don't forget, share this video with your husband because it'll help him understand a lot of these dynamics, and know that both of you are very normal in your feelings and just try to understand each other better.